The Chicago Bears pass rush just became the most scrutinized position group in the entire NFC North, and the decisions being made right now about next year's draft could completely alter this franchise's defensive identity for the next decade. Welcome back to Bears News Fan Report, your most reliable source for breaking updates, in-depth analysis, and exclusive coverage of everything happening with our beloved Chicago Bears. I'm bringing you critical information today about a defensive prospect who's generating serious attention across the league, a player whose athletic profile and production could address one of our biggest needs, and insight into how the Bears are approaching the 2026 draft class when it comes to edge rushers. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because what I'm about to break down has major implications for how we build this defense moving forward. Something fascinating is unfolding in the college football landscape right now, and Bears fans need to understand every detail before we get to the explosive information about a specific player who could change everything. Our pass rush has been a topic of intense discussion among the fan base for multiple seasons now. We've made investments in the position, we've tried different schemes and rotations, but the consistent game-wrecking pressure we need to truly compete in this division has been elusive. When you're facing Aaron Rodgers, when you're going up against explosive offenses twice a year in the NFC North, you absolutely must have edge rushers who can win one-on-one matchups, who can collapse pockets, and who can force quarterbacks into making mistakes. The 2026 NFL Draft is shaping up to be one of the most intriguing draft classes in recent memory, particularly when it comes to defensive talent. Quarterbacks are obviously dominating the top of most mock drafts, with multiple signal callers expected to come off the board in the first 10 picks. But the real story that's developing is how many elite defensive prospects are available throughout the first round, specifically edge rushers, who have the athletic tools and production to become immediate impact players at the NFL level. This isn't a weak defensive class where you're reaching for potential. This is a class loaded with high-floor, high-ceiling defenders who can step in and contribute from day one. Auburn University has been producing NFL-caliber defensive talent for decades, and this upcoming draft cycle is no different. The SEC consistently features some of the most physically gifted and well-coached defenders in college football, players who compete against elite offensive talent every single week, and who are battle-tested in ways that prospects from other conferences simply aren't. When you're evaluating edge rushers, you want to see production against top competition, you want to see versatility in how they're deployed, and you want to see the kind of athletic traits that translate directly to the NFL game. That combination is extremely difficult to find, but when you do find it, you're looking at a potential cornerstone defender. Keldrick Faulk out of Auburn is exactly that type of prospect. He's an edge rusher who's been turning heads throughout the draft evaluation process, a player whose combination of power, athleticism, and production has multiple NFL teams circling him as a potential first-round selection. Faulk isn't just some raw athlete with untapped potential. He's a proven producer in the SEC who has consistently won against elite offensive tackles, who has shown he can set the edge against the run while also providing legitimate pass rush ability, and who has the kind of motor and competitive fire that NFL coaches absolutely love. Let me give you some specific context on what makes Keldrick Faulk such an intriguing prospect, and why multiple teams are targeting him in the first round. His athletic profile is exceptional. We're talking about a player who has the length to disengage from blockers, the explosive first step to win off the edge, and the bend to turn the corner and get to quarterbacks. Those traits are foundational for NFL edge rushers because the level of offensive tackle play in the league is so high that if you don't have elite athleticism, you simply cannot win consistently. Faulk has all those physical tools, and he's demonstrated them against some of the best offensive linemen in college football. But what really separates Faulk from other edge rush prospects is his versatility. Auburn has deployed him in multiple roles within their defensive scheme, asking him to rush from different alignments, to drop into coverage on occasion, and to be disciplined in his gap responsibilities against the run. That versatility is incredibly valuable in modern NFL defenses that want to be multiple and unpredictable. The Bears specifically have been looking for defenders who can handle different assignments, who aren't just one-dimensional pass rushers, but who can be trusted in all phases of the game. Faulk fits that profile perfectly. His production at Auburn has been consistently impressive throughout his college career. He's accumulated significant tackle numbers, sack totals, and tackles for loss that demonstrate his ability to disrupt offensive game plans on a regular basis. But beyond the raw statistics, when you watch Faulk on film, you see a player who plays with relentless effort, who doesn't take plays off, and who has that instinctive feel for when to attack and when to maintain gap integrity. Those intangibles are what separate good college players from successful NFL players, and Faulk has demonstrated all of them. Now here's where this becomes directly relevant to the Chicago Bears and our draft strategy for 2026. The latest projections have the Bears selecting at pick 25 in the first round, which puts us right in the range where multiple high-quality edge rushers could still be available. The mock drafts that are circulating show teams aggressively addressing their pass rush needs throughout the first round, with edge defenders coming off the board as early as pick 8 and continuing to be selected consistently through the back half of round 1. That creates a fascinating decision point for Ryan Poles and the Bears' scouting department. Keldrick Faulk specifically is projected to go at pick 13 to the Miami Dolphins in the most recent comprehensive mock draft analysis. Miami is a team that's been searching for explosive defensive playmakers, and Faulk's combination of power and athletic upside fits exactly what they're looking for. That projection at pick 13 is significant because it tells us that Faulk is being valued as a mid-first-round talent, a player who multiple teams would be willing to select in that range if he's available when they're on the clock. For the Bears sitting at pick 25, that creates an interesting calculus. If Faulk is the type of prospect we believe can be a foundational piece for our defense, do we consider trading up to ensure we can select him? Or do we trust that there will be comparable talent available at our natural pick position? The mock draft has Chicago selecting Romello Height out of Texas Tech at pick 25, another edge rusher with length and developmental upside. That suggests the Bears are comfortable staying at their spot and taking whoever falls to them from a strong edge rusher class. But let's dig deeper into the comparison between Faulk and Height, because this is the kind of evaluation that will define our draft strategy. Faulk projects as a more pro-ready prospect, someone whose combination of technique, strength, and experience in the SEC suggests he can contribute immediately at the NFL level. Height is viewed as more of a developmental player with tremendous upside based on his length and athletic traits, but someone who might need a year or two to fully develop his technique and add the strength necessary to be a consistent NFL edge rusher. That's a classic draft dilemma. Do you take the higher floor player who can help you now? Or do you take the higher ceiling player who might become something special but needs development time? Given where the Bears are in our competitive window, I would argue we need to prioritize players who can contribute immediately. Caleb Williams is developing into our franchise quarterback. We have playmakers on offense, and our defense needs pieces who can elevate our performance right now, rather than projects who might pay off down the road. That perspective would favor targeting someone like Faulk if we had the opportunity, potentially even considering a trade-up if the value was right, and he started to slip in the draft. The reality of draft positioning is that you can't always get exactly who you want. If Faulk goes at pick 13 to Miami as projected, the Bears would need to make a significant move up to land him, giving up additional assets that might be better used elsewhere. That's where trust in your scouting department becomes critical. If the evaluation is that Height at 25 represents similar long-term value to Faulk at 13, then staying put makes complete sense. But if the gap in evaluation is significant, if Faulk is viewed as clearly superior, then exploring a trade-up becomes something to seriously consider. What makes this draft class so exciting from a Bears perspective is that we have options. The edge rusher position is deep in this class with multiple players who could become quality NFL starters. Whether it's Faulk going earlier, Height falling to us at 25, or another edge defender entirely, the Bears should be able to address this critical need with a high-quality prospect. The key is being flexible in our approach, being willing to adjust based on how the draft unfolds, and making sure we don't reach for a specific name when better value might be available elsewhere on the board. I'm genuinely optimistic about the Bears' approach to this upcoming draft. Ryan Poles has demonstrated he understands how to identify talent, how to value positions appropriately, and how to balance immediate needs with long-term roster building. The edge rusher position is clearly a priority, and having a draft class this deep at that position gives us multiple paths to addressing it successfully. Whether we end up with a player like Keldrick Faulk through an aggressive trade-up, Romello Height at our natural position, or someone else entirely, I trust that the evaluation process will lead us to the right player for our defensive scheme and our championship timeline. So here's my question for you, Bears fans. Would you support the team trading up to select an edge rusher like Keldrick Faulk if he starts to fall in the draft? Or do you prefer staying at pick 25 and taking whoever's available from this deep edge rusher class? What traits do you prioritize most in an edge defender? Immediate production or long-term developmental upside? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because I want to hear how the Bears faithful are thinking about our draft strategy. The bottom line is that the Bears have a critical opportunity in the 2026 draft to add a game-changing defender who can elevate our pass rush for years to come. Players like Keldrick Faulk represent exactly the kind of athletic, productive, versatile prospect we should be targeting. Whether we end up with him specifically or another edge rusher from this talented class, the key is making a decisive move to address this need and giving our defense the tools to compete with the best offenses in the NFC. If you want to stay updated on every development as we get closer to the draft, you need to be subscribed to Bears News Fan Report. I'll be breaking down every prospect evaluation, every potential trade scenario, and every strategic decision that impacts this franchise. Hit that like button right now, share this with every Bears fan you know, and make sure notifications are turned on. I'll be back with more exclusive analysis and comprehensive coverage of everything Bears. Bear down, let's build this defense the right way.